All right, my beautiful people, man. Good evening to you. Thanks so much for joining. We're here on Facebook, YouTube for our Black Author Speaker Forum, and we're just super excited to bring you guys some authors, Black authors that's bringing some great literature for you to level up in life. While you guys are connected, man, go ahead, hit that like button, that share button, all that good stuff. Also, let us know where you're connecting from. We're gonna give Facebook, YouTube about 2 to 3 minutes to just let you guys know that we're here. And hey, man, this is a great time, man. We got some wonderful opportunity for you guys to get a couple gifts for some people during this holiday season as well. I mean, because what's a better gift than a good book? So you guys get a chance to connect and know some Black authors. This is being brought to you by the New Black Wall Street Book Club, which is what we do. We feature authors and their great works on everything that we do. So thanks so much again for joining. Miss Vivian Reed is up in the house, man. Thanks so much for being here tonight, man. BBC is representing Mr. A.V. Knowles. Thanks so much for joining, man. Peace and prosperity to you as well. While you guys are connected, man, let us know who you are, where you are, and all that good stuff as well. We're broadcasting right here from ERGJ Studios virtually, right? So we get to connect with these brothers and sisters right where they are here tonight on the Black Author Speaker Forum. And it looks like we got a total of 6. Oh, my goodness. It looks like we got a total of 6 authors that's going to be represented here tonight. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be super exciting for me, man, because I'm super excited about that. Miss Vivian Reed, man, Brooklyn, New York. Thanks so much for joining, man. You are here, Facebook as well. Awesome, man. Hey, man. So hopefully, you guys have had a wonderful week. It's a terrific Thursday. We've got a week left, or about 6 days away from the a big day and for Christmas, and then we got Kwanzaa right after that. So happy holidays to everybody for all those that celebrate holidays. Get a chance to be with your loved ones, all the good stuff, all the traveling, all the good eating, all the good stuff as well. Mr. A.V. Knowles, Toledo, Ohio, was representing, man, all across the world, man. Hey, it's the World Wide Web, guys. So we realize that you can be connected from anywhere, any city, any country, right? Any state. So just let us know where you're connected from, man. Good evening to you. I'm not going to delay because we got to give these authors plenty of time to talk because it's the author speaker. So these people can talk. By the way, they can talk. Anyway, man, let's get this show on the road, man. Mr. DJ, hit the music. New Black Wall Street Book Club. And they just received with much love. Educating, elevating, because knowledge is the power and we'll never give it up. Literature's for the masses. Where to put your money down, now how to watch your assets. Yeah, uplifting others is a passion. My brother Evan, he will turn it into action. New Black Wall Street Book Club. You should come read with us. Yeah, we comprehend and discuss. Yeah. We all just come together. There's no limit for us. Here comes your host, New Black Wall Street. Evan, take it away. New Black Wall Street Book Club. All right, my beautiful people, man. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight for the New Black Wall Street presentation for the Black Author Speaker Forum. Of course, New Black Wall Street Book Club is where Black folk do read. That's right, man. You put it in a book, we absolutely will find it. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, ERGJ Black Bazaar, and international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. That's right. That book there is a study of Black wealth. It's a study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I've just been blessed, man, that this book is taking me a long way. We're going to find out tonight about some other authors, what they've written and how far their books, their literature has taken them and the contribution they've been making to our community as well. Well, for that book, you can go check out the website, theblackbillionairesclub.com. That's right, theblackbillionairesclub.com, and pick up your copy today. You can get it in a hard copy, soft copy. You can get it also available in French and ebook and also audiobook as well. We just want to make sure we have plenty of options so there's no vocabulary or language barriers across the people that we wanted to reach with the book that we have written. Tonight's sponsor has been brought to you by Big Sis Media. Big Sis Media is who powers everything that I do, my beautiful people. So if you have any creative design needs, you want to check out Big Sis Media by simply going to the website, bigsismediagroup.com, bigsismediagroup.com. They're a full-service creative design agency. They're with tools available to help clients communicate with audiences through visual and digital media. So websites, flyers, all Instagram stuff, Facebook stuff, YouTube stuff, man. Check out Big Sis Media. They're here to watch over your most critical needs like a Big Sis would. Check out our website, bigsismediagroup.com. That's right, bigsismediagroup.com. Well, guys, tonight, man, the Black Author Speaker Forum, you get a chance to meet the authors. That's right. You get to hear from them as well, their journey into authorship. I believe everyone has a story to tell. Some of us have just written it down. And maybe it'll be an inspiration for you guys as well tonight, but then also a way to support them as well. You might find some books tonight, some literature that you never heard of that can make a difference in your life. You'll have an opportunity to support and buy those books as well tonight. And then also hear their story. What brought them to the place where they are tonight, and why do they do what they do as well? Well, the Black Author Speaker Forum, it's time to get this show on roll, man. Let me introduce you guys, our guests here tonight. I got a couple. We're going to have to, oh, Lord. Let me introduce our guests here tonight, man. Bring up a couple more. We got 6 with us here tonight, or 5 others with us here tonight. We'll bring the others up in just a second. Let me introduce our first, man, Miss Jerry. Let me get that rolling thing off there. All right, man. Miss Jerry B is up in the house, man. Good evening to you, Queen. Thanks so much for joining.
Hey, thank you.
Man, thanks so much for being here tonight in the Black Author Speaker Forum. There's some who have never heard this name before. This diva that's up with us here tonight. If you could share with the people who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
I am Jerry B, the Creative Community Connector. I am very passionate about community advocacy. I am a creative, and with all that I do in the community, I realize that there are a lot of different communities, the little pockets that I identify with and affiliate with because of my own lifestyle. And so, you've said it before in your previous broadcast that when you are out there, when you're talking, when you realize that you have something to give to the community, what better way to make sure that it's always there than putting it in a book? So that is, who I am and what I do in a nutshell.
Man, Miss Jerry B is in the house here tonight with us on the Speaker Forum. Mr. Rakim, I think I said it right that time. Rakim, and we have an opportunity to connect via Facebook and Instagram. We've been following each other ever since, man. Again, there's some people who've never heard this name before. I know you're a powerful speaker and done a lot in the community. Could share with the people who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Sure. My name is Rakim Sabri. I wear many hats, but most recently, I'm a speaker, a TEDx alum, 2-time author, mentor, and I'm passionate about educating people on the importance of financial literacy or financial education. So I like to blend mentoring and financial education to kind of have a more effective approach to the topic, rather than kind of talking about the mechanics of what you should invest in or how you should invest, really addressing the mindset and how to, bring people along that journey.
Absolutely, man. So another one that specializes in finance in a bit in his own way, man. We'll get into what you've written to bring, what you've brought to the table as well. We got Miss Wanda D, man. Miss Wanda D Hollis up in the house, man. Good evening to you. How are you tonight?
Awesome.
Absolutely, man. I don't know who might not have heard of your voice and your name, but just in case they haven't, if you could share with the people who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Well, great. Thank you for having me here tonight. I am Wanda D, the motivational queen, and I am a motivational speaker, coach, trainer. I'm John Maxwell certified. I also have a radio, TV talk show, several other platforms. We just started a new one called the Winning Evening News. And what I do simply is I help other people reach their goals through media, because I believe that media is super powerful. And if you have anything, any dreams, visions, you need to bring them to life through media. So whether that's print, advertisements, stage plays, you name it, TV series, movies, books, that's what it's all about, getting your voice out there through print or social media or even mainstream or underground media. And I have a company which I teach people exactly how to do that. That's the I Am Enough 365.com. And you can find me on the I Am Enough talk show every first and third Sunday right here in Atlanta on Status Network. And that's me, Wanda D, the motivational queen.
That's right, man. Wanda D, the motivational queen. We got another author here. See if she's ready to go. Miss Akosu. Akosu, you ready? Ready to rock and roll? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. All right, let me bring you on in here, Miss Akosu. Thanks so much for joining, Queen. How you doing tonight?
Thank you for having me. I'm good, thank you.
Hey, now we had the pleasure of having your husband here last time we did the show. Now we got you. So the power duo is doing their thing, man. But if heard of you or your husband, if you could share with the people that's here tonight who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Akosua Nantachi. I'm the CEO and founder of Amakosua LLC. I'm an author of Back to Kukran to Me, which is a collection of poems. And Dear Nice Girl, which is my recent book. It's a collection of letters. And I'm working on my next memoir, which will be titled Why Every Pregnant Woman Should Write a Book. And in addition to being an author, I help other people self-publish their books as well. So I provide professional writing and editing services for manuscript editing, resume, cover letter, personal statements, grants, and a bunch of other things.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I see I'm gonna be hiring you pretty soon.
Yeah.
Not just publishing. I hear that, man. And we got okay, looks like Miss Sakisa, you're trying to get on. Let me know. I got you in the lobby. Just watch and see if you're ready to rock and roll. Hey man, again, thanks so much for being here, guys. Everybody that's here, as far as in the audience, man, go hit the like button and share button if you care. Like button and share button if you care. This is an opportunity for us to support our own. There's a lot of literature that's out there, but now we get to actually see the literature that's been written by our very own and see if we can actually support those that look like us. And that's just really a part of group economics is what we do. And as you think about it, man, a book is really, that written literature is really a part of legacy. And that's where I want to go here right now as we think about legacy and what you have written. Talk to us a little bit about what you've written, but then the legacy that you are really like feeling that you're leaving behind, just how far, because it could go so, I mean, once I wrote a book, I realized, wow, I could be dead and gone. My book will still be read. Especially for my children's children, they can see what their great grandfather was thinking, and then my name's on it, our names on it.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to you, Miss Jerry B. Man, the value of the legacy that's being left by the written work or the written word that you have created.
You said it. I mean, and you said it. It's legacy. You know, at the end of the day, we can always stunt ourselves and stop ourselves when we think about, oh, well, somebody else has already wrote it. It's already out there. But at the end of the day, no one has our fingerprint. No one has our story but us. So for me, you know, I'm a mother of 6. I have 3 boys, 3 girls, and raising my children, people would always say, how are you doing all that you do and you have 6 children? And so for me, my first book was managing multiple children because it was the question that was being asked all throughout my adulthood. And so managing multiple children from a mom of 6 was my first book in 2016. And then after that, I started writing and realizing, again, going out and conducting book signings and everything, you do have those people asking, how did you do it? Because I self-published. And so right after launching and releasing that book in November of 2017, I hosted my first writing group to help other people walk through the book writing process and self-publish themselves. And at the end of the day, you know, I wasn't a professional, but because I did it, there were people out there saying, okay, show me what you did. So I definitely took that opportunity. And so 2017, along with other writers, I started writing my second book. My second book was Give Yourself Some Grace. I had become a very busy daughter. My father had moved down. I'm originally from St. Louis. My father had moved down in 2016. And by 2017, he was needing to have a little bit more supervision. And so as I was trying to continue doing my mother thing, my wife thing, my entrepreneur thing, here it is. Now I'm having to keep an eye on my father. And so found myself just having those moments of, oh man, I didn't meet that goal. I didn't get this done. And in that inner spirit, that small voice would often say, give yourself some grace. Like, take a look at what your life is. You know, what you do is not what other people do. So started writing those moments where I had to literally stop myself from spiraling and give myself some grace. So Give Yourself Some Grace actually has lined pages in it to allow the reader to also, as they read the different scenarios that I share, it gives them an opportunity to see what they need to grace themselves in and what areas they have, self-sabotaged or just allowed themselves to beat themselves down to the point of paralysis. Because a lot of times that's what we do. If we don't meet a goal, all of a sudden we want to just walk away from it. And that's not the thing. Sometimes you have to push reset, assess what life has thrown at you, make the adjustment, make the shift, and keep moving forward. So Give Yourself Some Grace is that book. And then my third book was Rhythms of a Mother and Son. So out of my 6 children, the ages are 13, 16, 18, 20, 22, and 26. And my now 18, he was 15 at the time, had shown some interest in poetry. I didn't want him to stray away from it as he was experiencing Black boy teenage experiences. And so I kind of approached him about doing this dialogue, this poetic dialogue about the things he was dealing with. And so Rhythms of a Mother and Son is really raw. We typed it with live, real situations that he was going through, everything from wanting to have a nose ring to wanting to start dating to his experiences with marijuana and different things like that. And me as a mother responding poetically in a way that not so much met him where he was in his anger or his emotion and his lash out at me, but still trying to build him up, remind him of who I know he is and things of that nature. So that book has had a lot of people in tears. I've had young adults reach out to me as well as other mothers and even some readers who don't have their own children getting something from it because of their own childhood or teenage experience with their parents. So Rhythms of a Mother and Son was my third. And then the fourth was a collaborative with 3 other women, Balancing the Seasons of Life, where we pretty much talked about and gave our perspectives about, those different areas of life, whether it be marriage, divorce, singlehood, adults going back to school, parenting, blended families. My husband and I have been married 21 years, but we are a blended family. So he had a son, I had a son, and then we had 4 together. So in that book, I was able to talk a little bit about just that dynamic of a blended family. Ministry. I am a woman of faith and a licensed ordained minister. So we talked about just being women in ministry and what that looks like, community advocacy, business and entrepreneurship. So all those different aspects, and then what it looks like, how we define balance in our prospective lives. So it is an amazing book. I love those 3 ladies. And when we go out and speak, it just winds up turning into this huge fellowship with people coming through and women just like, wow, 4 women made this happen. No cattiness, we still good. We have, known each other and been in relationship for years. So it's just an amazing thing. I love to build relationships, build community, and see people change or be prompted to change or motivate them to move in what they've been called to do. So, my books are really out there, like you were saying, to leave a legacy, to tell my story, my perspective of that story, because at the end of the day, there's books out there, but no one has my fingerprint. So this last one that I released, my 5th book, is A Life for a Life. And that's where I'm kind of talking about and illustrating, because I'm an artist as well, this caregiver walk that I've been on with my dad, and sharing the images that came from his health really declined in 2018. He had been in the hospital 8 times, 3 different nursing facilities, until I finally brought him home last September. And so the book and the artwork, just capturing these moments of caregiving, gave me an outlet. And then doing the book just allowed me to tell the story behind each image, because it was just a new thing, and nothing else stopped. I was still a mother. I was still a wife. I was still a community advocate. I'm still an entrepreneur. And now this. And so A Life for a Life, even that statement was kind of like the sacrifices that I had to make in my life in order to bring the best quality of life and wellness that I could for him. So that's the statement. And that's who I am. And those are the books that I have out there.
Wow, that's very powerful. a lot of different angles there that you've written books and just through life and what you've experienced.
Yes.
I've ever heard of me writing a book about caregiving, so that's pretty cool, pretty new, pretty awesome, man. And same question to you, Mr. Rakim, like as it relates to the books that you read or the literature that you created, as you think about that and also the legacy that you leave behind, man, how does that make you feel, and what's the difference that you think you're really making here in the community?
So my first book is called Mentorship: The Playbook, and actually it's a compilation. It started off as actually memoir style, so a compilation of journal entries that I had kept since I was very young. I mean, the age range that spanned in that book is probably around 12 all the way up through probably 27, 28, and I'm 29 today, so it's very recent. And what I do in that book is I talk about mentoring from the perspective of my experiences, and really redefining, first of all, what mentoring looks like. So I encourage the mentee in this book to own their relationship with the mentor and not just kind of wait for a mentor to tell them what to do or how to do it, but go up to them and tell the mentor what it is that they need from them, and how they should be acknowledged as an individual. I also challenge the idea that mentors are individuals who are much older than you or much more experienced, and really kind of shift the idea of mentorship as someone who has an influence, someone who you choose to have influence on your behaviors, your actions, your thoughts. And so a lot of times when I'm speaking to young people, I talk about their friends as being their mentors. And so there's a lesson in that, where the mentor or the people that you choose to surround yourself with are going to ultimately influence your behaviors. And so you need to be more cautious of who you allow into your circle. My second book was it's called Financially Irresponsible, and same kind of message. A lot of my inspiration in writing comes from the kind of books that I read. So I'm an avid self-help reader, and Financially Irresponsible is a culmination of my practices financially that traditionalists in the financial personal finance rather will view as irresponsible. So I go into details about some of the things that I've done that have led to my success at a young age. I go through different scenarios, how I've built credit, how I've purchased property. I talk about empowerment. So the book is divided into two parts. And so I address the spiritual and mental relationship with personal finance. My first chapter is actually called Money is Not the Root of All Evil. And I go into how most people misquote the Bible and saying that money is the root of all evil. And I challenge people at the end of that chapter. I don't want to give away the whole book, but I challenge people at the end of that chapter not only to abandon the thought that money is the root of all evil, but to embrace the idea that you have a responsibility as an individual to grow and multiply the gifts that were bestowed upon you. And so it's your responsibility to grow the money that you have, or the money that you could possibly have. I knew the title would be eye-catching and kind of controversial, so that was definitely deliberate. And really, it's dualistic in nature. So I'm challenging not only what is considered traditional or traditionalist views of how you manage your personal finance, but also having people look at my personal habits as it relates to finance and kind of reevaluate, are you viewing me as being irresponsible, or are you irresponsible, and kind of look at what is the end result of what I've done versus what you've done. I think the biggest angle in that book for me is that I'm wanting to have the same impact that Rich Dad Poor Dad had on me, and challenging people's mindset. And so I was thinking about the individuals who I look to for inspiration, giants in the financial world. So you look at your Grant Cardones, your Dave Ramseys, your Robert Kiyosaki's, and I realized that my story is relatable, that people can see themselves in me, and that I've not gotten to that level of wealth where people feel that I'm so far removed from understanding what their struggles are that that they can't possibly get to the level that I've gotten to. And so I really drive through that relatability and mindset piece when I talk about how I started out, my humble beginnings, growing up with food stamps, growing up with Section 8, not knowing what credit was or how to get a high credit score, not knowing how to invest or what a 401k contribution is, or not knowing what the value of having a life insurance policy and those kind of things are. So it's really kind of a holistic view on personal finance. At the end of the book, there's a glossary of terms that I've selected personally to introduce to individuals who may not have experience with financial services, whether that be banking or a financial advisor. And just kind of my mission in writing that book was to educate people around, first of all, the significance of educating yourself financially, but also to inspire people to believe that they have it within themselves to certainly achieve whatever it is that they choose to achieve. As far as legacy goes, I'm echoing everything that I've heard so far. Certainly, when I'm not here, this body of work is still going to be present. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from individuals who've read both books. I've certainly grown my network of individuals who are exposed to the work that I do the second time around. And both books are self-published as well. So I had to kind of navigate through the trial and error of figuring out what marketing looks like and how to position the book so that people will be interested in it. Because the reality is that a lot of people don't like to read traditionally anymore. And so how do you address those audiences who maybe want to look at it electronically, or maybe you want to look at it as a page turner, or who want to listen to the book? And so I have an audio book in the works for 2020, at least that's my goal, so that the individuals who just they need to multitask while they're reading can also, like you said earlier, there's no language barrier, there's no dissonance really in how these individuals are consuming that content.
Mr. Sabri, man, I'm off mute. Mr. Sabri, man, that's what I'm talking about. I can tell you a thinker too, because you always looking up. This brother always looking up. I'm following your eye. He going to grab all them words, break them down as a great speaker would do, man. Absolutely, man. Ms. Wanda D, man, is up in the house. Ms. Wanda D is up in the house. You got to unmute yourself. Man, thanks so much for joining, man. We're talking about legacy. We're talking about the works that you have created and brought to our community, man. Talk to us a little bit about what it is that you have created and the legacy that you're leaving behind.
Well, my first book, titled I Am Enough, was basically a book out of, I would say, me discovering myself and tired of playing it small, ready to push forth, doing some big things at a time where I found myself very, very broken. And I had actually been writing for a very long time. So I remember I think it was the New Year's, I sat down with my friend and we just grabbed all my writings and we were putting it together. And I found myself saying, this is the time, this is the time, this is the time. So as a result, it's about procrastination. And I find that when I'm working with people, especially myself, I said, we teach what we most need to learn. So I'm constantly pushing myself. And when we discover, or I should say, take full responsibility of who we are and realize where we come from and what makes us great, then we can go after these dreams, and then they can no longer be dreams, but they can come to life. They can come into play. So my whole mission in writing was just to help people discover who they are, to tell them like, hey, you're enough. And we need that constant look yourself in the mirror every single day to tell you that you're enough and you can do anything that you wanted to do. Funny thing is, when you talk about legacy, this is the most important thing in my life because, now I have grandchildren, and for me to push them and to have conversations with them of what do you want to do? What does that feel like? How is it serving your soul? So I teach how to serve from your soul. Don't do anything. We spend a lot of time doing a lot of stuff that we don't like to do. We take on responsibilities that we shouldn't. We follow shiny objects, being trendy. And when you realize that we're born with certain gifts or certain things that we want to do, we can do it as long as we just get all of the tools in place. So the I Am Enough book it's not only just full of rich stories and in the sense of poetry, but it also allows the reader to reflect on what they read. So it helps you understand where you are in that process. We're running through life so fast and trying to keep up, and sometimes we just need to slow down. So it allows the reader to slow down and think about what their objectives are. And then at the end of the book, it has 107 affirmations, daily affirmations to live by, because I'm a big believer in words, just basically words. We are the first thing we tell ourselves, that's who we are. So to be your own light keeper and your own guard of those words that come out of your mouth, and then to be forgiving and loving towards yourself. So I would say, as a whole, my whole goal is to just help people understand that they are enough, that to love themselves, to accept where they are, to work on the things that they want to change, to surround themselves with people that they care about, and to run from situations that they don't want to be a part of, to step away, to not be fall into that trap of tradition. Like now you got a lot of people that do a lot of stuff out at the holidays, and they're really conflicted. Like, do I do this? Do I not do this? So it's okay to say, no, I don't want to do that, and have your own reasons, and then don't have to explain yourself. So it's a book of courage and empowerment, just plain and simple. The second book, Wake Up Winning, came out of a situation of me trying to just hold on to my life. In a couple years back, I found myself losing three people in my life: my mom, my dad, and my granddad, and my grandmother. And I literally had to connect with a process and a project that would help me, hence the title, Keep Winning. So at the time, I was doing a podcast in the morning, and still do it, Wake Up Winning, where I would come in and give people motivation, hold myself accountable for my day in the morning. And out of that just grew this book. And I partnered with several other people, and they shared their story. So it's really a rich book, very, very powerful. There's a lot of stories in here that people can connect with, because I find that we're all people and we all go through similar things. And so somebody is going to be so relatable to you, and they'll show you how they overcame certain things, because it's not about getting knocked down. I teach this all the time. It's about how fast you can get up. That's what it's about. Also in that book, we have different tips on how to stay motivated. What do you do? What does that look like? Who do you go to? So with those two books, it just speaks to my brand. And that's another reason why I even wrote it, needing to write it, but also strategically as a business person, there's should always be a reason why you do something. So when I hit the stage, or when I'm talking to somebody, I want to leave them with a product that they can help grow themselves, and then they could hold themselves accountable for the things that they want. Everything that we do is so important, and I don't want to see people waste time doing the things that they don't want to do. So that's why I do what I do, to just help other people do what they do. I serve, and I enjoy serving, and it's my life. That's what I want to do. I don't do it because of no fanfare. I do it because that's simply who I am.
Absolutely, Ms. Wanda D. Hollis, man. I Am Enough and Wake Up Winning. We did have a question from the audience, Ms. Carolyn Owens. Mrs. Bree, say the name of your financial book again, please. So I guess you got two of them. If you want to name both of those books again for Ms. Carol, I think one of them I put up was Financially Irresponsible.
Financially Irresponsible is the name of the finance book, and then the book on mentoring is called Mentorship: The Playbook.
Fantastic. And Miss Owens, if you're still here, we'll have all of the websites that will come up. We'll post, and then we'll go through so you can find out where to buy those books and support our great Black authors that we have with us here today. Miss Okoso, if you could, in the you may see a private chat down there. If you can type in your link to your website or anything like that, so we can make sure we get you going.
All right, so
So if you could talk about what you have written, Miss Okosu, and the legacy that you're leaving behind. I know you do a lot with authors as well.
Yes. All right. So I'll talk about my books. I actually have two of them, and I'll show them. My first book is titled Back to Kukrentumi. And Kukrentumi is a village in Ghana, West Africa. So Back to Kukrentumi is a collection of poems, and it actually started as my senior thesis project for undergrad, which I did in 2015. And then, it took me 3 years later to add on to it, edit it, and then finally self-publish. But basically, it's just a collection of poems talking about my Ghanaian American identity and how I've had to navigate through that and find my place and what it means to be a Koso Anantachi. And then I have my second book, which is here. It's titled Dear Nice Girl. And basically, it's a collection of 50 letters that help the reader achieve a specific goal, 50 passages explaining each letter. And then I have blank pages throughout the book, so the reader can write down the thoughts that spark from reading the book. And my husband actually wrote a motivational quote book as well. I'll kind of segue into the 3 books that I recommend my clients write to boost business. Anybody really can write to boost business. So we both, my husband and I, wrote a motivational quote book. His is titled For the Hustler, and it's the same 50 quotes in his case that help the reader achieve a specific goal, 50 passages, and then the blank pages throughout the book. And that's one of the books that people read and find that they can do that themselves as well. I also encourage people to write a memoir, which I wrote Back to Kukrentumi, and I did that in a form of poetry. And then the last book that I recommend people write is a product book. And one example that I usually give is Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. He wrote a product book teaching his audience and his readers how to use ClickFunnels to get the best results. And another example is Guerrilla Publishing by Derek Murphy, and he talks about how to use his editing services to be a successful author and kind of avoid the cliche struggling author stereotype. But yes, Dear Nice Girl is a collection of letters that force the reader to reflect on the daily relationships and reflect on those relationships in order to help them become a better author, critical thinker, entrepreneur, as well as motivate them to become their best selves. And then my book that I'm working on now is called Why Every Pregnant Woman Should Write a Book. And I came up with that book, and my husband actually helped me a lot with that. Basically, after I was fired while I was 5 months pregnant with my daughter, Madison. And so I went through a traumatic experience, obviously, trying to figure out how I was going to make money, how difficult it will be to find a new job, right? And even how difficult it'll be to prove discrimination. Because even if, even if someone is discriminating against you because you're pregnant, it's pretty hard to prove that if they don't directly outright say it. So, although there are a lot of laws to protect pregnant women, it's still difficult to prove discrimination. But also in the midst of that, I was breastfeeding, and we knew that if I, went back and found a new job, and even the interview process could just even disrupt my breastfeeding schedule. So it was a lot of different things at play that, were affecting me all at once. And then I decided to start my business. And so that's how Amakosua LLC came about, because we were like, okay, you can, monetize on your writing, but how you gonna make money, right? So once that became the question, then that's why I provide writing and editing services, as well as sell cosmetic products. I had to get my finger into different things to bring in income. And so all of that will be reflected in why every pregnant woman should write a book. And I'll also be interviewing some other women in my life who have gone through pregnancy experiences as well, and just sharing their testimony, just to further showcase the power and purpose of documenting the stories of pregnant women. And, just showing people, but specifically women, the financial, physical, and emotional benefits of documenting the stories of pregnant women. And so my legacy is to just empower via creative writing, because I believe that writing, and specifically poetry, is a powerful healing tool that anyone can utilize if they just tap into it. So, yeah.
Man, absolutely. Some dynamic authors with us here today on the Black Author Speaker Forum. Absolutely phenomenal. Right now, I want to, again, guys, for those that are watching or our audience here today, hit the like button, the share button if you care, like button, the share button if you care. New Black Wall Street Book Club, bringing to you the Black Author Speaker Forum. I want you guys to go back to your first work. And as you think about this time, however long ago that was, for some it could be years, for some it could be months. I think every author goes through a stage where that maybe they feel like they have a book in them, or maybe they were prompted like, okay, you need to write this, or whatever the case may be. Maybe a little fear of, I don't know how to do this. This is my first time doing it, whatever the case may be. But there are people who are watching right now who they're at that stage. They're at that stage where they're like, they know they've been called to write something, but they don't quite know how yet. And they also might feel like they're not worthy, or they're not really a writer, or whatever the case may be. I want you to talk about your thought process as you were getting ready to take on this challenge of writing a book. And that could be in a lot of different forms, whether that be a physical book, or be an audio book, be a podcast that you've done, but all the stuff that could be first for you as it relates to literary content on the Black Author Speaker Forum. And talk about how you felt and how you got through that, and what really pushed you to complete. Because many people start, but they don't finish. Miss Jerry B.
Oh, man. I mean, everything you just said. I don't think anyone, when you venture into something new, you will have those questions of, what am I doing? Do I really need to do this? Is already something out there like this, So for me, when I think of the first book, Managing Multiple Children, I can't even tell you the different things I thought about. Of course, I'm like, okay, who wants to hear about a bunch of kids? who wants to hear about, how I did things? I mean, I think we all go through those questions and those moments, but at the end of the day, for me, what kept echoing in my spirit was, but nobody has your fingerprint, but no one has your story, but no one has raised your 6 children. And so it's really just about getting to a point where you are confident enough in your words, confident enough in your story and your content and what you have, to just push through those moments. It's the same thing like, when we're riding a bike for the first time, getting behind the wheel of a car for the first time. And, I'm speaking because I'm a mother and I'm literally going through these moments with my children. But it comes down to the same type of encouragement. We just have to find it within and keep ourselves encouraged to move forward with it. One thing with my writing group that I found was, having everyone do, we write and then we also share excerpts of what we wrote. And so you get like immediate feedback. So that wind up being, constant motivation for everybody to keep going and, keep everybody encouraged and stimulated to know, yes, there may be something out there similar, but no one has your story. No one can say it like you say it. No one has your fingerprint. And so that, again, was, what really kept me going.
Absolutely, man. Everybody in the comments below put, no one has my fingerprint. I think that's such a phenomenal quote to remind yourself of for anything new that you start. Mr. Rakim, man, same question to you, man. As you go back to you getting started, about to write this thing or find this or come into the understanding it is for you to write. I think that's a better way to say it. Man, talk about some of the thought processes you went through and really what pushed you to actually finish what you started.
Sure. I actually have an interesting story around my first work. I was going through a really bad time in my life, dealing with anxiety, dealing with depression, and a close friend of mine just came to me one day and they said, you know, you have an incredible story to tell. You should write it. And I had kept journals off and on throughout childhood, so I was not a stranger to writing. But in all honesty, the first book that I wrote, I didn't write for public consumption. I wrote it just to kind of get words down on the page. And so my process was I needed a break from reality. And so I took a trip across the Atlantic. I spent 7 days in Barcelona and I spent 7 days in Casablanca, Morocco, with the sole intention of writing. And I traveled by myself, so I had to overcome fear, traveling across the Atlantic, certainly, and then being in two countries where, first of all, the languages are starkly different, but I have a decent command of Spanish, but it wasn't my primary language. And certainly when I got to Morocco, I couldn't navigate the French and the Arabic languages. So it was a lot of solitude and the perfect storm really for introspection. When I got back to the States, I just started putting it in a computer. I started typing it out. I started reviewing old journals that I had kept and seeing how I could incorporate that into the general flow. And at one point I was cleaning out my computer and I lost the file. So I was probably, 75% through what I really wanted to accomplish. And I lost the file. And so of course I became discouraged. It was like, I'm not doing that all over again. It's too much work. It's too tedious. And maybe a month or so later, I found it. And so I realized that, maybe I needed that break to kind of look at my work from new eyes. And ironically, what happened when I was rereading what it is that I wrote was I was able to identify at the end of each would-be chapter, which, as I mentioned previously, was kind of in a memoir format, was a teachable moment that I was pretty certain most people in general would be able to relate to, but specifically young men could relate to, and whether they expressed it verbally or they didn't know how to express it verbally or in written format. And so what I did was incorporate at the end of every chapter a call to action that really, the title is Mentorship the Playbook because it truly is a playbook for people who want to be mentors and how to be more effective as a mentor, but also people who are mentees and how to be more effective as a mentee. So it speaks in two voices simultaneously, which I find is kind of an interesting spin on writing because, you can look at it as a student or you can look at it as a teacher or you can look at it as both. And at the end of the process, and I know I'm kind of jumping ahead outside of the question that you asked, but at the end of the process, I ended up with something that was completely foreign to what my initial idea was. And when I think about the second book that I wrote, there was certainly some intent behind the way that I structured it. I knew what the end result was going to be before I even started writing it. And so my advice to anybody who has either started writing or who intends on writing in the future is, certainly just data dump or however you want to put it on paper, but have in mind what your desired end result is, and then reverse engineer what your process is from that moment. I think that was the biggest learning between the two books. That the second one is much more organized, it's much more structured, it's much more deliberate and intentional. Whereas the first one was just kind of like going with wherever I felt moved to. And certainly, it adds credibility to who you are. Being an author one time is a huge deal, but certainly 2 and 3 and 5, however many times you want to over, people kind of look at you differently in terms of the accomplishment in and of itself. But certainly, like we talked about, that legacy piece.
Absolutely. Now you said some very interesting thing that we may have some time to talk about, which is structure. And we actually have at least two, I guess you can call them writing coaches to be able to help with that. I've seen a lot of original work. Like you said, Mr. Rakim, kind of be all over the place sometimes because you just get it out. But it's great to also have some assistance to make sure it's structured properly so you can actually reach whatever end result that you're looking for. For some, it may not be anything other than I just wanted to get it out. But for others, it could be something where you're trying to boost your business or you're really looking to sell so many copies or whatever the case may be. I just believe that, and having the greatest impact that you can have, it has a lot to do with how organized you are in your presentation as well. Ms. Wanda D. Hollis up in the house, man. I am enough. Everybody put that console, I am enough. As you go back to this first book that you wrote and you think about becoming an author for the first time, what really were some things that you thought about that you contemplated? Was it a push for you? What pulled you through? And how did you actually finish what you started?
Well, for me, it kind of came out of this. I was in real estate at the time that I wrote this book, and I found myself reading poetry to my clients. I had some situations, some clients that were contemplating like going back into real raw and rugged relationships. And I reached out and was saying, like, let me share something with you. Things were coming up that I had wrote. So I found myself just sharing the work with them. They were, just very uncomfortable with themselves, and so I could say, oh well, let me read you something. So I really started to share my work, because prior to that I had been writing for a very long time, but it was just for me. It was my writings. I wasn't at the point of wanting to share it with anybody, but in that process of just sharing it with other people, I really saw the impact before it was even put together. And I would see clients not, one lady in particular, not going back into a abusive relationship. So I was like, wow. So this does mean something. And people had told me like that's very powerful. What you read or what you wrote, was very helpful, because I didn't do, although I write poetically, I never did spoken word. That wasn't my thing. I didn't want to be labeled as a spoken word artist. Although I love to do spoken word, that wasn't it. But in that situation of just me sharing it, it was if it birthed the book. It gave the book the meaning and the power. So for me, I learned that the book that was inside of me wasn't really for me. It was for other people. And that's why I had to finish it. The day that I decided this is it, I have to finish, I have to put it together. It came together so quickly because the content was already there. And then I got to organizing it and saying, okay, well, I wanted to have this effect, these questions at the end of each section, and how would that look like. So it was really kind of like putting a workbook, a study guide, and a very powerful affirmation tools inside of one book. The lady that I was working with at the time, she said, that's too much to go into one book. You should do it in parts. It could be like 3 books in one. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to separate it. I wanted it to be just like I had planned it to be. I wanted to give people everything to guide them, because I had saw the effects with my clients in real estate. And I said, nope, I want to give it to them just like that. And that's what I did. So I would just encourage anybody. We all have a story, but our story isn't for us. It's really to help other people. It's what we've been through. It's our test that makes us strong to tell the testimonial. And if we have the courage to stand up and tell that story, it really makes a big impact in other people. And that's why we're here. It's not all about us being here to make money or to obtain shiny gifts and objects. It's about the people that we connect ourselves to. So again, I always go back to that soul principle, that was the whole ideal and philosophy of I am enough, and to stop procrastinating and live your dream now. So that's why I did what I did.
Absolutely. I am enough. Absolutely. You absolutely are, Miss Wanda D. Hollis, man. Miss Okosu, again, coming back to you, man, with this first work that you did, that you completed. As you go back into that time frame, whatever that was for you, what are some things that you thought about, maybe some fears that you had at the time, and what really helped you to actually finish what you started?
Yes, that's a really good question. So, where do I even start? I actually have a poem that I, asked the question, am I good enough? But the funny thing is I always wanted to be an author.
Wait. I'm sorry. I got to cut you. You have a poem. Am I good enough? Do you have that poem right now? Because I'm on the spot. I'm a Johnny on the spot type of guy.
I do actually. If you put me on the spot,
yeah,
are you saying that I should?
Yeah,
okay, I'll find it. I'll find it. Oh my God. Okay, I believe it's I Write. Let me make sure that's the one. Is it I Write? Oh my goodness. Blank Canvas 2020. Okay, I found it. So this is titled Blank Canvas, and I dedicated this poem to June Jordan, who I consider my muse, and I also dedicate this to Black female poets and my foremothers. All right, putting me on the spot. Here we go. All right, Blank Canvas. I write because of Maya Angelou and other Black female poets. I write even though their words do not make their way on the pages of school's syllabi. I salute you, female poet. You have given me a voice to speak all the sorrows in my heart, the joy, laughter, and pain. You found a way to defy all odds and prove yourself a valuable tool to the craft of writing. Though I am still human, and the daunting question hovers over my head. Am I good enough? Good enough as a writer, poet, scholar, or teacher in training. I stare deeply into the blank canvas where my words make way. Lucille, Anna, Sonia, Stacey Ann, Lauren, India, Nayira, Chimamanda, and Antazaki. I write so that the little girls behind me will know you before they are adults with children of their own. I salute you, Joy, Alice, June, Patricia. Still sitting here, canvas bouncing with words, I operate in this blank verse after Milton. But I am, like my foremothers, doing something the world not too long ago thought we could not do.
Okay, now.
Yes.
So I had to get over that fear. And what I had in mind was, the fact that my dad was a writer himself and an author. And so in my mind, I knew I could do it because my dad did it, but I still felt this sense of inadequacy. So I would share my poems with my friends and they would give me feedback. And one of my good friends, she started sending me videos about how to self-publish. Because I was like, how do you even publish? And something in me was like, maybe the traditional route may not be what you're looking for, especially, once I was fired, it was like, you don't have time to waste. And so it made sense to self-publish. But I had to do research to kind of, be more educated, which helped bring down more fears once I had more questions to the answers that I was, looking for and the problems that I needed solved. So once I did my research, I really got confident. I was like, I can do this. And I had some people that I was looking up to that made me feel like I was just like them. And, it wasn't anything special about these people. They just decided to take that leap. So I did the same and never looked back. Amazon makes it pretty easy for you to self-publish. And once I was able to be educated on what that process was like, I wrote out my checklist. Okay, how many poems do you need to have? I knew I could edit the book myself, so I started, just looking up different things that I needed help on. Like, okay, how do you do this on Microsoft Word? So it was literally me taking these small steps, one at a time, being patient with myself as well, because I was a new mom, but I still was able to, re-immerse myself into my passion for writing. And so I was checking off my list little by little until I found someone to do my cover art. I found someone to edit, and I was using my resources. And I was, learning as I was going. I was like, okay, well, clearly I'm going to make mistakes. So I had to let go of any type of perfection that I had in my head, because that just doesn't exist. And so, yeah, that's pretty much how I was able to take that leap of faith and actually just go for it. And then later on, I realized, okay, if I'm going to do this for real and take myself serious, I needed to be more consistent. And so I had to start figuring out how to incorporate writing literally into my life. I like to say I had to figure out how to write the way that I breathe. It needed to be a part of me. It needed to be subconscious. And that meant that I needed to be consistent. That meant I needed to hold myself accountable and take myself serious as a writer as well as a businesswoman.
Absolutely, man. Thanks so much, Mr. Kosu. Now, you said something very, 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 very powerful. You said that there was nothing different about other people other than they just decided to do it. Not,
Right.
I think if we all get that and understand, man, looking at everybody else and just realize that you can do it as well. You can absolutely do it. That you are good enough. Everybody putting comments, so I am good enough. We got a couple comments here, man. Miss Jacqueline, hey, Miss Golden joined us. An interesting thing, she just shared, Mr. Sabri, she just shared your TED talk and tagged me in it. And she came over to the broadcast and didn't realize that you're actually on the broadcast, man. Look how won't he do it? Won't he do it as well? And I got a comment over here at my watch party from Miss Hollis. Says, hey, Miss Hollis from Ava Adams. I saw you on a radio show in Chicago and really enjoyed you. My baby sister, Tracy Kincaid, was being interviewed. She is a co-author of the book When Warriors Talk, God Listens, a breast cancer survivor. Do you remember that, Miss Hollis? You don't remember that? Okay, no, you know,
but hey.
So, Miss Jerry B, man, what we want to do is we want to bring up your website now. You can talk to us a little bit about, navigate us through your website so people get familiar with your brand over here at lulu.spotlight/grace yourself. Let me pop it up here as well. Books by Jerry B, man. Talk to us a little bit about your website by Jerry Brown and navigate, take us through your website here for a second.
Okay. All right. So again, I self-published through lulu.com. And actually, the link is lulu.com/grace yourself. So the spotlight is really not needed when you're typing it in. lulu.com/grace yourself. And so the beautiful thing about Lulu is that it does allow you as an author to have this author page and have all of your books showing at one time. And so these are the ones that I've self-published. Rhythms of a Mother and Son, just knowing that I had finished that and published it, co-authored it with my teenage son, is why we did an ebook version of it to speak to to speak to his people, his generation. But I am, I'm 42. I like books. I like the pages and the texture and flipping pages. So I can't say that I was much for wanting to venture into the ebook world and all of that. But it's crazy. A lot of us have been talking about audiobooks, and that's something else that I am also venturing into going into 2020. So this broadcast, as well as last week's broadcast, somebody brought up audiobooks. So that is my next venture as well. But the ones here are Managing Multiple Children, Give Yourself Some Grace, and then Rhythms of a Mother and Son is showing twice because one is soft cover and then one is the ebook. The Balancing the Seasons of Life, because it was a collaboration with 3 other women that was hosted through Lulu, but on another account, because we established a LLC together. And so for that book, we have it on our page that we have together, lulu.com /VP Books. So Balancing the Seasons of Life is there. And then, of course, with A Life for a Life, that is the first one that is a collaboration with my art as well as content. So it's a full color book, 12 by 12. So it's square, it's large, it's, you know, not common. And so that's coming through a printer, and it will not be available as these are. But feel free to email me, schedulejerryb@gmail.com, to find out more information about that book, because I'm doing pre-orders now. That book is going to be it's a lot more expensive because it's full color. But I'm excited. And lulu.com, very interesting that you brought up Amazon. At the time that I started, Amazon had not merged with CreateSpace like it is now. And so I got really used to using lulu.com. But Amazon, again, through Lulu, my books are available through on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and other book retailers as well.
Absolutely, man. So the this new piece that you got, Miss Jerry B, I imagine, does that put you into some museums as well, possibly?
It quite possibly can. The conversations that are happening now are gift shops and galleries in hospitals and nursing homes and things of that nature, because it really does speak to the caregiver, the healthcare professional that's taking care of patients and things like that. There's a greeting card line that has already been released with the artwork. And so, yeah, we're looking at gift shops and doing some trunk shows at nursing homes. And I'm looking for the day that I can take my dad back to the 3 facilities where his health declined, and have him there with me as we, present the work, the book, and the man.
Wow.
Oh, I want to be there too. I'll be a fly on the wall for that one. I'll tell you that.
Yes, because he is, last September, the hospitals, they wrote him off. They were wanting me to consider palliative care and hospice. And I was like, no, like looking into his eyes, I could see life still in him. And so, he was brought to my house on a stretcher, connected to a feeding machine. And, here we are, 14 months after, and he can be transferred to a wheelchair. He's using his left hand to feed himself. He's uttered words. He is, dumbfounding the doctors. Don't tell me that healing is done just because y'all don't know what else to do.
That's right. That's right.
Forward, man. Mr. Rakim, Sabri, man, got your website coming up as well, man. Walk us through what you got going on here, Mr. TEDx himself.
So my platform is more speaker first. I use my books as a source of credibility, really. So when you navigate kind of through it, it's just to get people familiar with what I'm passionate about and what I'm talking about. The book addition to the front is actually recent. And the Financially Irresponsible is recently published. I published it on the 2nd. So still relatively new book. But I just want it, as soon as somebody views my page, I want them to see what it is that I'm about. I'm passionate about mentoring. I'm passionate about financial literacy. And so I don't want them to have to click around too much and figure out, where is he getting that and what's he doing. There is a page, or there's a tab on there for contact services and events. So really, I'm looking to expand my speaking platform. And so I want people to contact me, let me know, how they feel about the work I'm doing, if they want me to come speak for them, what they're looking for me to speak on. And there's some media stuff, some blog stuff. If I guest speak on a blog or podcasts, I usually include the links there so that people can find out what my body of work is.
Go ahead, brother.
That's it.
Okay, fantastic. No problem. So you mean the Black Author Speaker Forum gonna be up here? Wait a second, we're gonna be up here soon. Okay, now.
Yeah. Definitely.
We're gonna get a special page up here, man. Catch up on these comments, man. Oh yeah, you got the TEDx talk there. There's the YouTube for his TEDx that he just. Well, how long ago did you do the TEDx, Mr. Rakim?
That was on the 3rd, so it's what am I, a week out?
So talk to us about that experience. Again, this is Black Author Speaker. So as you a predominantly speaker that use your books for credibility, I imagine, and you tell me that this TEDx opportunity was a phenomenal opportunity, probably a phenomenal experience. Talk to us a little about. I mean, how long did it take to prepare for something like this? What some people need to know about it, because we hear TEDx. Maybe you wouldn't tell people what TEDx is as well, because there may be some people that don't even know what that is.
Sure.
And really, what's this process and how did it go about you getting there and your preparation for it and all that good stuff?
So TEDx is a smaller, licensed out version of the TED Talks platform. And so basically TED Talks allow smaller organizations to license their name. And in general, the idea is to focus on ideas worth sharing. So you're not promoting yourself, or you're not giving really a motivational talk, although people can certainly walk away motivated after hearing your talk. But its intent really is to just kind of share, whether it be advances in technology or education, or just different things, challenging ideas, which could be along with the flow of status quo, or could be something completely different. So when I talk about my story in TED, really the message that I like to drive with people, because they're generally pretty impressed with it, is the idea of manifestation, or active manifestation. I started speaking, I want to say last year, and decided that I wanted to do that as kind of something that I'm passionate about, certainly something that I could monetize. And I realized that I very quickly wanted to gain credibility. So I said, well, what's a better way to gain credibility as a speaker than to participate in a TED Talk? And so at the end of last year, I wrote it down as one of my goals for the following year, which is this year. I said, I want to speak on TED. And I looked up what the local TEDx was. I looked up when they were opening up applications. I set notification alerts on my Facebook and my Instagram so that when they posted, I was aware of it immediately. And as soon as they posted, I applied. The application process was a little bit involved. There was over 100 applicants, and they had 8 slots to choose from. And so my understanding of their selection criteria is, outside of whether or not the talk is compelling and kind of in line with the theme of what it is that they're looking for. They certainly interview you to see how well of a speaker you are. And then they want to see that you can kind of synthesize your talk into one central idea that the audience is walking away with. So again, that structured approach instead of just kind of being all over the place. And then lastly, they wanted to make sure that the topic was unique. So if somebody else had applied and wanted to talk on the topic of, my topic was financial empowerment, finances, then they would have to pick the better of the two and then decide to go with whichever one they felt was more compelling. So there was probably 3 rounds of audition before they let me know that they chose me and 7 other candidates. And I think we found out maybe August, September that we were going to start. And so we had from then to prepare what our talk was going to be. I had 15 minutes. I used almost 10 of them. So you don't have to use all the time, but you can't go over the time. And so I made sure to practice my talk shorter than the 15 minutes so that I didn't accidentally go over it. And not a lot of like live production practice. So certainly we had a dress rehearsal the day of. We had a dress rehearsal, I believe, a month in advance. But that was pretty much it. It was really all accountability on me to prepare, make sure I knew what my topic was, make sure that I could deliver it in a flowing way, structured in the way that I wanted it to be structured. they certainly checked in with us, maybe once a month or so. But really, it put a lot on you as an individual to prepare, to show up, and to deliver. The experience was phenomenal, much more than I could have imagined. I had the audience full attention when I did my talk, and they were very receptive, spanning generations, spanning ethnicities. There was a line of people who wanted to talk to me afterwards, and to the point of credibility, certainly boosted me to another level of credibility. So there are definitely organizations and individuals that I had approached prior to speaking on TED that which kind of iffy about whether or not they wanted to connect with me or work with me. And then after doing the TED, they're like, oh yeah, like get this guy in here, we want him. So certainly a lot more opportunity has flooded my way as a speaker as a result of the TED Talk. And I strategically aligned the release of my book with the TED Talk. So my book came out December 2nd. My talk was the 3rd, and it just really kind of created a lot more synergy for people to want to hear about me, to know my name, to recognize my name, and to look up, who I am and learn more. So I think if anybody's going to do something like that, definitely just be mindful too that TED has rules against self-promotion. So I couldn't go into the talk and say, hey, I just published a book, go check it out. I had to really kind of talk around my topic. But having a book and certainly a TED Talk on financial empowerment makes you somewhat of a subject matter expert. And so that's really the hope. I want people to see what it is that I'm about, what it is that I'm passionate about, what is it I like to talk about, and be able to look at my work not from the perspective of somebody who's amateur, but somebody who kind of they know their way around this arena.
Oh, absolutely, man. I got a wonderful question coming up after that, man. Mr. Rakim Sabri, man, Mr. TEDx himself, man. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the Black Author Speaker Forum. Again, for those guys that have just joined or been watching for a little bit, I hope you did something that was free, and that would be hit the like button, the share button, or the follow button, or the heart button, or whatever button you can hit, because that's free for you to do. And that's a good way, easy way for you to show your support for us here tonight, as we're showing that Black folk do read and we do create as well. Ms. Wanda D. Hollis, man, pulling up your website here. You could kind of walk us through this Wake Up Winning or I Am Enough 365 for us as well. Okay, we got you there.
Right. So it's something at the top of that. So it actually, my website opens with there we go. That's a testimonial because I know in your website, your first opening page is your real estate. So I put emphasis on the show, I Am Enough Talk Show, and we do some very powerful things, some very transformational things on the show, bringing businesses onto the platform and helping them market. I am a marketer, a marketing arm, and so I really hold a lot of concentration on that, as well as helping businesses launch through media. And I encourage people to get on the platform, create their platforms, to get on every platform to just spread their message about what they do. I also offer coaching services in that space of media and business development. I go out and speak on how to do that. So we host a lot of workshops, as well as do a lot of inspirational and motivational conferences with basically women and business owners. That's the niche that I'm in. And on the website also, if you scroll down, there's a formal commercial, my book, there's written testimonials as well. So that's a commercial. And we just launched that We News that's on Facebook. So it's Winning Evening News. And I have 2 other people with me in that venture. And we're really just honing in hard on talking to business owners and basically anybody with a vision that wants exposure, because I'm trying to explain how this social media climate that we're in, we're not utilizing it like we should. We're underutilizing it. So I'm doing my best and trying to just demonstrate to people, hey, if you're not putting out 50 to 100 pieces of content a day, then you're missing the mark on this platform. And so we going hard on that. And then if you scroll down, we also offer the book, and we have products. So we have t-shirts. Right now I'm doing where you can purchase any one of the books and get the t-shirt for free. This t-shirt that I have on, this Wake Up Winning t-shirt, I'm giving that away for either any purchase of the book. And we also do conferences and that kind of stuff. The website is linked into my Twitter, into my Instagram account. And if you go over some pages, then you'll go more into the media side of it. But I think if you scroll down, then that's my bio and all that kind of stuff. I do interviews on other platforms. So there's information of those other broadcasts that I've did with other people. Inside of that website, I also have clips and full-length shows that's inside of that website. I think if you click on one of those buttons over there on the side, then it'll take you into that.
Okay. Oh, I clicked on all four of them.
All right. Well, I guess I don't know if it's coming over or not. But anyway, in that, because it's a marketing arm, what we do something very unique. I say when you come and you kind of rock with me, I'm going to expand you the whole way. I'm going to bring your website into my website. I'm going to advertise it. I'm going to keep promoting that person well after we've done that interview. So it just helps people get more exposure. Plus, I connect you with the network, and that network could be, you'll probably see some pictures of you in there. That network would be just people to connect with, in different areas. When you move into a community, you want to know what restaurants to go to, who's the best barbers, who's the best dentist offices, and this kind of thing. So that's our platform. That's me in a nutshell. I'm just a connector, and I want everybody to win. So you can go through there and pretty much figure out and find out everything that you need.
Absolutely, man. www.IamEnough365.com, www.IamEnough365.com. Miss Wanda D. Hollis is up in the house here today on the Black Author Speaker Forum. And Miss Okosu, man, we're coming to you on your website. We'll go pop you up. You can walk through what you got going on here at IamOkosu.com. And look at that smiling face. She's just ready. All right, here we go.
All right, so my website is amakosua.com, and basically once you get to my website, you see the professional writing and editing services that I offer. And I also offer self-publishing consultations. So if you have your manuscript ready, if you have your personal statement, your resume, your cover letter, then you'll go to, you'll click, my professional writing and editing services. And if you already have completed your manuscript and you want to now publish, then you can hit the self-publishing consultation. And with that, we have a 60-minute consultation walking through your target audience, your release date, and then I have a video, about 40-minute video, guiding you step by step on publishing through Amazon's KDP platform, which stands for Kindle Direct Publishing. And then you also get a free copy of my book, Dear Nice Girl, with your self-publishing consultation. You also get it when you get when you get the manuscript editing services for the book that you plan on writing. So if you scroll down, you'll just get a gist of what to expect, and then you can say, okay, no, I'm trying to get to the book. You can click the no thanks, I'm not interested. My website is a funnel. And like I mentioned earlier, I use ClickFunnels, which is by Russell Brunson. And so you can see the other things that I offer. So my husband's book is only available on my website outside of Amazon. And basically, yeah, that's as simple as it gets with the funnel. You can click if you want one of these books, and then soon I'm planning on wholesaling Sea of Spa Cosmetics, which is a product from Israel. And what makes their product unique, if you will, is that every single one of their products has Dead Sea minerals from the Red Sea in it. So I fell in love with their face mask, their hair mask, their shampoo and conditioner we really like, and everybody in our family uses that. And they have some nice body scrubs. So eventually the goal and the plan is for other people to be able to sell those items as well at a wholesale price to make some extra money. So yeah, my website is a ClickFunnels, which makes it pretty simple. Everything is pretty much, one funnel after the next.
I like it. You're talking about me making some money. I get my ears hurt. I can make some money. Okay.
Yes, I'll definitely keep you posted on when we start that.
That's what I do best right there. I'm a master at that. Hey, so Mr. Coach, you could there's some people that may not have heard of ClickFunnels, so you may want to give a little bit more in depth about what that is. It's a very useful thing for people that sales funnels and things like that.
Yeah, so sales funnels basically act as your selling tool. So it helps basically get your product to people and help you get upsells as well as bundles. So for example, when you go to my website and let's say that you get one of the literary services, instead of, it just having a confirmation where you already put your debit number, I'll have another sale. So do you want to add this to your order? And then if you say yes, then I'll have another sale. So it basically walks you through every single sales pitch that I have without even having to pitch multiple times. So once I've already sucked somebody in and convinced them to purchase one of my books, then my website takes them through the funnels that I have to do an upsell bundle. So let's say that you got Dear Nice Girl. If you wanted to get my book bundle, it'll come with some other things. If you say no to that, then you'll get offered my husband's book and his book bundles. So literally, it is a funnel to just help you go from one sale to the next to get more sales and more traffic through your website.
Absolutely. So again, we have with us some phenomenal authors and speakers here on the Black Author Speaker Forum. Let me go here. So again, we have Miss Jerry B. Her website again, guys, is www.lulu.com/grace yourself. Guess I need to update that. See if I can update that real quick. There we go. All right, grace yourself. We got Mr. Rakim Sabri, www.rakimsabri.com. Check him out as well. Miss Wanda D. Hollis with us at www.IamEnough365.com and Miss IamOkosu.com at MissIamOkosu.com as well, man. It's definitely been a pleasure having you guys here with us here tonight, sharing your stories, sharing your inspiration and motivation to be able to not only just to let people know how you got started, why you got started, and what you got going on, but also to help them to get started. That's a absolutely wonderful, phenomenal thing. Definitely want to ask you guys, how did you guys enjoy the show? Miss Jerry B, how do you enjoy this platform, being able to be here with other authors and things like that?
This was really good. I appreciate it. Thank you for the invite. Definitely looked at some of your broadcast from last week, and I think you and Wanda both said that you are connectors, and I am too. So the idea of just bringing, again, this is another community. So my brand, Creative Community Connector, this is what I do. And so the community of authors, you brought them together. You bring together the women, the men. I just really appreciate what you're doing on your platform. And so, you have me as a supporter. You've had me as a supporter for quite some time, but being introduced to your broadcast, I was like, okay, yeah. And you have Black Mama T, who is on my list to meet. So I was like, man, come on, Evan. Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely, man. Thanks so much for being here tonight on Black Author Speaker Forum. Mr. Rakim Sabri, You got to unmute yourself, man. How did you? How's your take on tonight's broadcast and your experience here tonight? I know it ain't TEDx, but you know.
Well, let me say, you know, I am also a connector. In fact, at the beginning of this year, I made a commitment to myself that in every interaction I had, I was going to intentionally add value, and so I've lived through that, and I plan on continuing to do so, whether that be paid value or free value, but definitely good to be around people who are doing the same kind of things or similar things that you're doing. I learned a lot from everybody listening to, you know, their journey and their experience. There's a lot of similarities in terms of the tools that we use or the mission that we have. Certainly resonated with some of the marketing focus and how we under leverage social media. Certainly resonated with a lot of the self-publishing tips, and you know, second time I'm doing it, so I remember those struggles. I remember not knowing where to turn and who to look to for advice. And so I just think that, you know, again, you bring authors together, speakers together, that we can learn from each other. I use a quote in my TED Talk that I'll share with you guys, and it was kind of a mantra that I grew up to. And it was each one teach one, each one reach one. If you know, teach. If you don't know, learn. And so my call to action to the audience when I delivered my TED Talk was to do that. You know, if you're in a position of knowledge and you are around people who don't have that knowledge, then share what it is that you know with them. And on the flip side, if you're in a position of ignorance and you are around people who have that knowledge, then it's your obligation to go and get it from them. And so I think, you know, forums like this certainly embody that. You know, I don't think anybody here is shy. We've all been very open with each other in terms of what our process is, and I'm confident that we'll all keep in touch afterwards.
Absolutely, man. Ms. Rakim Sabri, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us here tonight on the Black Author Speaker Forum. Ms. Wanda D. Hollis, man, your experience here tonight on the Black Author Speaker Forum. You got to unmute yourself.
I'm all ready to go. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. I was thinking iron sharpens iron, and that's what we've done tonight. You know, everybody has brought their gifts to this platform. We sharpened each other. For me, I know some things have stirred up in me because every day, you know, I live to grow. Every day I live to grow. I live to forget what I think I know and learn what I need to learn. So being in this type of environment, it just helps me stay committed to what I do and to help other people find their passion and purpose. So I just really appreciate you. You know, Evan, I think the world of you. You're just super fantastic. You know, words goes on and on for what you do. And I just really want to say for you, I just want to give you as much love and light because what you do is no light task. And a lot of people don't know that it takes a lot of energy to get people together. It takes a lot of energy to flow a conversation, and also just to keep that in your heart. For everything that you do, it comes out of your heart. In order for it to manifest, it starts in your heart. So I just want to really, really let you know how much I really strongly appreciate everything you do. And my last words will be to say, and everybody watching and our viewers and anybody that catch the replay, that I believe that we're all winners, you know, that some of us just haven't discovered that win inside of us. And for all of us, it's all about us banding together and shining our light very, very brightly so other people can identify what their light is all about. And so we can continue to do this as we evolve until we all take that final dirt bath. I think that's what we need to be doing.
Absolutely, Ms. Wanda D. Hollis, man. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight on the Black Author Speaker Forum. Ms. Okosu at missokosu.com. Your experience on the Black Author Speaker Forum.
I just want to say thank you for having me on this platform. I'm so grateful to have met these wonderful authors, and I really can't wait to read you guys' books and connect with you further and later in the future, and however that manifests. Thank you for putting this together, and like she said, putting the energy behind this is so important and necessary. And this was just an affirmation for me because I really do see myself in every single one of you. And that's always a great feeling and something that I don't take for granted. And it just is also an affirmation for the healing tool that I believe creative writing can do. So thank you again for having me on this platform, and hopefully we can definitely continue to connect in the future.
Absolutely, man. I want to say thanks so much to our audience and everyone that's here with our panel. And definitely, this is just the beginning, guys. We're ending a decade and beginning a new one. And so hopefully there's some things that you recognize in your life that you're going to either stop, you're going to stop so that you can start the new stuff as well, because you can't really add anything until you sacrifice something. This is the Black Author Speaker Forum, where I believe everybody has a voice. So why not let your voice be heard? Some of you guys are going to be phenomenal speakers. You need to add a little bit of writing so you have something to sell at the end of your day. Some of you guys are excellent writers, and you need to learn how to actually present what you have written in spoken word, because all those poems, they sound better coming out of your mouth. I can tell you that. It's Black Author Speaker Forum, and I want you guys to remember this, that it takes a village, and it starts with us. Let's build and climb together. We all we got, beautiful people. Thank God that we are more than enough, that you are good enough, and that we can wake up winning. Still that from Miss Rhonda D. Hollis. And until next episode, you know what time it is. New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
It's the New Black Wall Street Book Club. With your host, Evan Jefferson. It's time for us to go. Yeah. Now, you ain't got to leave the computer, but we encourage you to get out there and learn and apply all the things you learn at the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Yeah. The New Black Wall Street. The New Black Wall Street Book Club.